Let's make history. My thoughts on Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden. My home, I was raised in Manhattan. I was hyped. But I must say I wasn't able to enjoy it because they opened with the comedian who made some disgusting jokes. As a Puerto Rican, I was furious and disgusted. However, we can't let emotions cloud our ability to reason, especially at such a time like now. So I'm gonna give Puerto Ricans out there and just people in general 3 reasons why you should still vote Trump. Even though, yes, it was a disgusting thing that happened and it shouldn't have happened. And I think Trump should actually make an apology. He probably won't, but I think he should, especially because he went to a famous Puerto Rican barbershop in Castle Hill in the Bronx and got overwhelming love. You know, and for that to happen, I think he definitely should give an apology. But with that said, here are 3 reasons why we should still vote Trump. Number 1 is that he wasn't just singling out Puerto Ricans, he's talking about Jews and blacks, which again, I don't condone and is in bad taste, but that's one reason. So it's not like Puerto Ricans were singled out. There were, and the media's calling it a Nazi rally because of those statements. That's just lies. That's just them spinning it in their act of desperation because Trump has been taking the lead. But they were blacks there, Puerto Ricans, Hispanics of all sorts, and of course whites. So that's one thing. The second reason why Puerto Ricans, we should still vote Trump is because you can't even really blame the comedian and you can't really blame Trump. Trump is saying that he doesn't even know who the comedian is. And that brings me to my point that the person who was hired to get the speakers who were going to speak at this rally, as well as the comedian who booked the talent, basically, that person should be fired. That person is a disgraceful human being. And another thing is that person could possibly cost Trump the election, because that's the whole thing. Like, they're always accusing Trump without even having any basis. They're always accusing Trump of being racist or Nazi. But mind you, after all these years, there's still not one tape coming out of him saying like the N-word or speaking in a derogatory fashion about Jewish people or Hispanics or anything like that, aside from his waging war against illegal immigration. Not immigration, illegal immigration. So the person that we should direct our ire at is the person who booked the talent. That's number 2.
Here is George Lopez, who apparently has stolen Albert Einstein's hair or something. And he's going off on Mexicans.
Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall. And George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight.
So Mexicans steal things is a perfectly appropriate joke at a Harris Walls rally. But Tony Hinchcliffe says something mean about Puerto Ricans, and it's the end of the world. Now again, I don't have to like the joke, but can we acknowledge that Tony Hinchcliffe is a comedian? By the way, full credit to Jon Stewart for actually acknowledging the obvious. I mean, a sentence I've never said before. Full credit to Jon Stewart. Here he was, actually defending Tony Hinchcliffe.
Now, obviously, in retrospect, having a roast comedian come to a political rally a week before Election Day and roasting a key voting demographic, probably not the best decision by the campaign politically. But to be fair, the guy's really just doing what he does. I mean, here he is at the Tom Brady roast a few months ago.
The great Jeff Ross, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff is so Jewish, he only watches football for the coin toss. Gronk, you look like the Nazi that kept burning himself on the ovens. Kevin is so small that when his ancestors picked cotton, they called it deadlifting.
Yes, of course. Terrible, boo, yes.
And number 3, the final reason why Puerto Ricans we should still vote Trump is because Puerto Ricans and our families would do better with Trump in office. We don't want Kamala Harris in office. With all due respect, we do not. Well, she is not presidential material. And I'm not trying to put her down, but she's just not. And I've touched on this before. You can watch some of my other videos when I've been covering this election. Go to my YouTube and go to the playlist Election Watch 2024, and you can get informed on some of the things I'm referring to, such as Kamala Harris and her inability to string together halfway coherent sentences. And she wants to run the country. She made the comment, by the way, saying that she wanted to put Ukraine in NATO. And that's one of the main reasons why, one of Putin's main beef, that is one of Putin's main beefs with America and with NATO. So, I believe she went over there and he like invaded like 2 days later. So, she was indeed in charge of the border. Border czar. She tries to run away from that. She ruined the border crisis even more than it was already in bad shape. She made things worse. They let in millions upon millions upon millions of people illegally. And now, like in New York, God forbid if you wanted to go to a shelter, the shelters are so packed with the migrants, you couldn't even get in the shelter. Unemployment, all the benefits for New Yorkers right now, and this is going on around the country. The people who paid the taxes that supplied the money for these programs and agencies can't even have access to it because our elected officials, Kamala Harris being the main one, and Biden, as well as a handful of other mayors and governors, opened the door for our country to keep being invaded. Again, like Trump even said, he loves immigration, but legal immigration, legal. So she's just, for me, she is not presidential material, and her 4 more years is gonna basically be, I'm sorry, because her 4 years as president is gonna be basically 4 more years of the horror show we went through with Biden. The inflation. They want to talk about how inflation now, like Charlemagne said, but inflation is at 2%. They just got it to 2% right when it was time for the election. No shock there. Throughout Biden and Harris' whole presidency, inflation went up to like 9. They just got it down. And that's because the Fed lowered the interest rate when they weren't supposed to. This is political warfare. So I don't think we should take our eye off the ball. We do not want Kamala Harris for president. A woman who has slept her way to the top with former Mayor Willie Brown, who was a married man, former mayor of San Francisco. This is a known fact. People don't mention it much, but this is a known fact. It's getting down to the wire, so we need to talk about these things. You know, I don't have, I won't knock a woman who may have done sexual favors to, better herself in life, get out of hole, or, even just from a business perspective, but not as the commander-in-chief, not as the most important office in the land. No, you should be 100% up for the job, prepared and qualified, which she is not. And I think she's more than proven that, but we just can't let this situation at the Madison Square Garden rally deter us from going out to vote. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Will Flores TV on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and X.